Los Cabos Drumsticks present
Quarter notes.
Okay. Yeah. So you took a recording course
I
or
know I took a
chainsaw course.
I took a you press record and I
I
took a
hit
chainsaw
record. There you
course.
go.
Yeah. Yeah, I took a chainsaw course today. It's not a legit chainsaw course, as in like a 3 or 5 day you're in the field with your hands on a chainsaw, but it was the safety
Mm-hmm.
information. It's kind of like the classroom portion of the chainsaw course. So I
Yeah.
learned about chainsaw safety features, uh, workplace safety, learned about some different cuts for felling trees, things to look out for to be safe. I learned about the PPE, and that's about that. Yeah. So, it was a course put on for the public
Okay.
by the forestry department here in Prince Edward Island, and so I took advantage because there's this trail system called Island Trails, and Hurricane Fiona did a number. I mean, on the whole island, but also on these trails, and so I wanted to be able to go out there and not kill myself or cut anything off, and be a useful member of that Island Trails community. So that's
Okay.
what I did today.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Chainsaws make me nervous. Like I
Yeah.
had to do some trimming on one of my trees in my backyard, and my neighbor was like, "Oh, I got a little chainsaw or whatever," and just one of those small brush ones or whatever, but
Yeah.
still a chainsaw. And
Yeah, man.
the chain come off of it, so I had to like take it apart and put the chain back on, and then readjust the tension on it, and it just
I learned about all that stuff today. I'm probably more cautious now that I've taken this course than I would have been before. I would have been a little bit cavalier with my chainsawing before.
Yeah, you'd have been all like, what's his name from Evil Dead? Like just
100%.
attach it to your arm with some duct tape.
Yeah. That's what I thought sawing was until today. Anyway, welcome.
Hey,
we're doing a podcast.
Yeah. Los Cabos presents another podcast called Quarter Notes. Yeah.
Dre
and
Rich.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just seeing if I have any. It's an unscripted podcast, but I like to have some notes here and there just to kind of keep me honest.
Yeah, get your notes up.
Get your notes. I don't have any trivia or anything, but I can hit Google real quick if you like.
Man, I always love a good trivia.
All right.
Oh, I'm just racking my brain for any cool chainsaw trivia.
Oh, that would be cool.
That would be cool, right?
Okay, that's interesting. So I did not know this. So I just hit Google and I typed in first drum company. Do you have any idea who the first drum company would be?
The first drum company?
Yeah. Well, I guess this is in the United States, but that's what came up as oldest drum company.
Oldest, like first established drum company. Leedy?
No. Noble and Cooley.
Noble and Cooley.
American musical instruments. Yeah. Based out of Granville, Massachusetts.
Wow.
Established in 1854. Is the oldest drum company in the United States and one of the oldest in the world.
Wow. Okay. 1854. 10 years before the Confederation of Canada.
Yeah. Ludwig was founded in 1909.
Whoa.
That's got to be old.
It's pretty old. 1909?
Yeah. Ludwig Co.
I thought it would have been older.
That's just what the top of Google said. I didn't do any deep dive, but yeah.
I'm basing that off not on anything, but right on. Noble and Cooley.
Noble and Cooley. Anyway, so this episode, as usual, we have topics and we have drummer picks. And as you may know, we're not doing an introduction for a guest this week, so we are just the two of us and deal with it.
Sorry. What mug you got today?
Which is which?
Oh, which is which?
Based out of Moncton.
Which mug is that? I should have asked. I have Mr. Right.
So, What's it say on the other side? Does it say I'm wrong? No, it says Mr. Right again.
Yeah, it says yes, dear.
Mr. Right and Mrs. No, we won't say that. We won't say it wrong.
Mrs. Always Right there is actually a sometimes I'll bring, maybe if I remember, I'll bring that next time. Mrs. Always Right.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty funny stuff.
Yeah. So I got my water in one hand and I've got my tea in the other.
Right on.
You've that whole dandy tea, you made me think having tea is a good idea.
Well, I have a little bit just left the old dandy blend there, yeah.
I'm doing the Tim Hortons honey lemon. Can you even call that a tea? Is it really even a tea?
Honey lemon tea?
Yeah. Yeah. There's
Good-
no tea
good
leaves.
question. Good question.
Mm.
That's trivia for next week.
That's next. Yeah, that's the next trivia. So this week's topic, we're going to talk about drum gear. Now we've talked about drumsticks, and then we had cymbals, and so we're going to talk about gear. So it's going to encompass kind of a few things. But is good gear important versus just budget gear, or like how important is the quality of the gear that you're playing? Kind of an idea. Kind of dive into some of those elements and see where the dice may
See
fall.
what we think.
See what we think.
Before we get into that, I just have a follow-up thought on honey and lemon. I think both of those things are like add-ons to tea.
Right.
Like you might put a little squeeze of lemon in with your Earl Grey.
Right.
You might put a little honey in with possibly your Earl Grey or whatever.
Or whatever. As a sweetener, yeah.
As a sweetener. So those are just two add-ons. Neither are tea.
Yeah.
Unless the definition of tea is hot water and stuff.
Hot tea leaf juice or leaf juice.
Is that what tea is? Leaf juice, essentially?
Basically, I mean, how do you make tea?
Because you steep it, right?
Yeah.
It's steeped. But are you like, what's the definition of steeping? Is that, do they have to be leaves?
I'm not the source on this. I mean, I've been more of a coffee guy, and that's generally percolated, or I guess a French press would be steeped, wouldn't it? Because you just let it soak in the water. I know French press is good, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Plunged.
Plunged.
It's kind of plunged. Anyhow.
Anywho, so
gear.
we're gonna talk drummers. So what category drummers are we gonna dive into?
Yeah, today this was your idea. That was a pretty cool idea. Drummers. Now this could be another side category. Drummers who you didn't know were drummers, but this is kind of that. But like drummers who play other instruments, better known for other instruments in the band. So excluding someone like Dave Grohl or something, because he was drummer in a band, so that doesn't count, or something like that. You know what I mean?
He's known for doing both.
He's known for doing both.
He's known for doing both.
Well known.
Whether or not he's better at one than the other.
Yeah, well known.
Well known.
Too well known.
Too well known. Yeah,
I mean, appropriately well known. Reasonably well known.
Reasonably well known.
Yeah. Within reason.
Within reason, he's known.
Yeah. Not gonna say he's too well known, because he deserves all his accolades, but
for sure.
Anyway, moving on.
Okay. So I don't know. I mean, we didn't really consult on how we're gonna do this. I kind of divided my gear talk, if you will, about quality and all that, into 3 categories.
Cool. Lead the way.
So drums is one.
Yeah.
Cymbals is another. And hardware.
Whoa. Okay.
So because and we're going to dive into each one, but like for me, each one has its own totally, like, you can get away with stuff on a cheaper version of whatever versus a higher end.
If I can come in with the honey and lemons of this conversation, I would go in with bring in drum heads and sticks. Not to say that sticks, are just a honey or a lemon.
No.
being on the Los Cabos podcast, but you know what I mean?
Mhm.
You don't I don't know if you
I've
think of
definitely
your
played
sticks
some
as
lemon.
gear,
Yeah,
you
I've
know, but
definitely
it
held a
technically
pair of
is
lemons.
yeah, haven't we all? So
We're still talking drumsticks here, people.
yeah.
Still
So
talking drumsticks.
okay, let's get back to you talking and leading the way before I interjected.
No, it's all good. So yeah, so drums. For me, drums, um, and I guess this ties into what you just said with drum heads, but um I've been playing Yamaha drums, and I'm not an endorsed artist, unlike that guy over there on that side of the screen.
Must be nice.
Must be nice. Yeah. Um, but I've been playing Yamaha pretty much since day one. And I played Yamaha entry level all the way up to my favorite that I've gotten to play which is the Live Oak Customs, which are just amazing.
Yeah.
And I would like to pick your brain on what your favorite Yamaha drum
Yeah.
is, but um and the old customs I played were pre the new version. I played the ones that don't have
Okay.
that plastic or whatever that is in the middle.
Okay.
Anyway, they're insane. So that's kind of my dream kit. But anyway, so since I play in clubs and I had the old Power V's, I upgraded to the stage customs, which are birch. They project like hell, because of the birch. Anyway, but they're an affordable not entry level. I'd say they're semi-pro drum kit. They're used backline pretty much any festival you go to, other than like the big festivals that would, people would with endorsements would have them flying the high quality stuff.
You'd be surprised.
Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough. But it's a more affordable kit, and if
Yeah.
I'm playing, because like I said, I'm playing punk venues and bars and dives and shit, like I'm
Yeah.
not gonna bring, an expensive set of recording customs, to have everybody else bang on them, and tear them to shit. But as far as an affordable drum kit goes, they sound, I've had so many people compliment me on the drum sound, and that's, to me, I find, because of my drum head choice.
Mm.
Just, a fresh set of drum heads on
Mhm.
a crappy drum kit makes a world of difference.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So if we're talking how important, and that's, this is in a live setting, like studio, you're going to want to have, some high end gear because you've got close mics and room mics and you're going to hear everything. But for me, where I'm playing in shows or whatever, I think, a beater drum kit with some good drum heads was, no one else is going to give a shit.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents.
Yeah. Cool. Drums.
Give me some
Talking
honey
drums.
lemon.
Talking some drums here. Drums, I would agree. I can answer a couple of your questions. Yamaha drums.
Mm-hmm.
I do endorse the brand Yamaha,
Mm-hmm.
and I currently play the absolute hybrid maples, hybrid absolute maples,
Mm-hmm.
hybrid maple absolutes.
Yeah.
That's how you say it, and
Yeah.
that's how you say it.
That's how it's.
And they're great. I really like them.
Mm-hmm.
Two other, I had a set that I used to play in Europe of the live, the oak
Mm-hmm.
live customs. Those were really good.
Heavy.
Those were really good.
Like
They were
physically heavy to pick
physically
up.
physically
Yeah.
heavy drums. Yeah, and so are the hybrids actually. Very
Okay.
heavy, very heavy drums. Like, yeah, a little too heavy. They're heavy. They are heavy. Another couple of kits that I like. Now I've had like I played. There's this like kit. Actually, like probably the kit that made me go play Yamahas or want to play Yamahas was this kit. John Bowman, a sound person here in Prince Edward Island, retired, but had a sound company.
Mm-hmm.
He had this kit. It was a Yamaha Maple Absolute. So it was before hybrid. Made in Japan.
The hybrids have that mylar or whatever in the middle, right? For the maples, or is that just in the oaks?
I don't think
whatever.
so. I think I don't. Yeah, there's something going on there.
Because I thought that's what made them hybrid, but anyway. Carry
I
on.
don't know. I just like how they sound. I don't know the technology, but that's shame on me. But
Oh.
these drums sounded amazing, and they actually reminded me of like like I've owned some different drum kits in my day. My first ever kit was a Tama Imperial Star.
Mhm.
I don't even know what kind of wood that was made out of. If it was wood,
Probably poplar.
it was like press of some kind of. I don't know. As a kid, I don't know. Maybe it was poplar.
Mhm.
Um, Pretty. Yeah, I was gonna make it some kind
Well,
of joke, but I'll let it slide. Then my
poplar is a
next kit.
popular wood. Yeah.
Thank you. The next I got a bright red pearl World Series kit. And I had that, and that did a good job for me for a while. I think that's a mid-level kit.
Mhm.
Imperial Stars, they were pretty budge kit, I think was
Yeah.
my first.
I think they're like a $600 or $700 kit.
Yeah. And then
Hardware and cymbals included.
yeah, no, it was not, I could tell the quality was not high.
Yeah.
Um, but then then I started playing like Ludwig kits from the 70s, and those are
Mhm.
really, really loved. This is kind of when I was getting like now into playing rock music more. And after university, and I was looking for, drum kits to be a professional drummer with. And so they were awesome. And this kit that I played of John's that was, Yamaha, it was new. It was beautiful. Sounded just, it had this warm tone that reminded me of like what you could get in a kit from the 70s
Mhm.
Ludwig, which I really liked. And
But
so I was like,
modern.
huh, but
Yeah.
modern. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, huh. And like, yeah, you can still buy this, and it's not like, you're taking this like vintage thing out on the road and whatever. Um, and it's just, yeah, and it's also very beautiful and whatever. So that was like one of the things that kind of drew me to Yamaha. So like I would say that kit, also the Rock Custom kits, which
Yeah.
are not in production
No, they were like
anymore.
from the 80s or 90s, right?
Yeah, my buddy Brady has a couple of them, and
I
whew,
wanted one of those because they come like base with the rock sizes, like with the 24 kick and the like
big
14 or
toms.
13 rack tom. And yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and deep
There was
toms
a
too. Like, yeah,
a matte silver finish one that I had my eye on that I wanted to get. Yeah.
so cool. Yeah,
Mhm.
they sound pretty awesome. And then recording custom. Those are like they're pretty pricey, but they're
Yeah.
amazing. I got to play on one of those. I did like a video for Yamaha in Germany a few years back, and I was like testing out. I was actually, I think the reason for the video was like testing out the this new triggers that they were selling.
Yeah.
But the kit that was there was the recording custom, and I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that Steve Gadd was there not too long before me, and that's
Hmm.
like, there's like the Steve Gadd signature snare, so I can't be sure, but I might have played on the same snare within a week or two that Steve Gadd did. So maybe I
At
soaked in a little
least,
bit of that mojo.
at least the kick drum
Yeah, well, that's
or the
his
four
kit.
tom.
That's what he plays. That
Hmm.
that that model. So, um, yeah.
Yeah. He
Anyway,
helped
that thought that was
design
pretty
that
cool.
kit. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So those are things I like. So now, anyway, drums. Yeah, so all that to say, I do think that drums, they definitely 100% make a difference. However, uh, you definitely can make a drum set that's, a mid-level drum set sound pretty good
Hmm.
with, and I agree, the heads. And same thing with a great drum set, you can really bring that, like, even like with like the Ludwigs and stuff, they kind of, for me, they always have this like beautiful warm tone that, like, even if the heads kind of get wonked, still kind of has it for me.
Yeah.
But not every drum set is like that. And when whatever drum set I'm playing on, if I have the right heads for them, uh, that can really make or break a thing. So there takes a
Hmm.
bit of experimentation, which I wish we all could just experiment, go into a place and just like get to A/B all these different heads
Yeah.
on your particular drum
Yes.
and get a sense of like what. But you can still do a lot with like moon gels, taping, like with different things. But it would be cool to get someone that works in a drum head, like get the Randy equivalent of
Yeah. Well, I don't know
that.
about that. Randy's
Well,
a
you know what I mean, but
yeah.
like similar
Mm,
job.
yeah.
That would be really interesting. But anyway, I totally, yes. So I think that there's a certain warmth, and I agree with you that you can get away with more, I would think, in a live setting, not because necessarily people don't care, but just because there's so much noise, and you never know the room that you're going to be in. It's just not a controlled environment, where a studio is obviously very controlled environment.
Yeah.
And so you can
Exactly.
get those tones and hear those tones, where you might,
Mhm.
even if it's a great drum set, you might just like the room isn't great, or the PA isn't great, or whatever.
Yeah.
So but also I think that the drums, if they inspire you to play, and this would go with any of the things we're going to talk about,
100%.
uh yeah, just having that sound and the feel. That's one thing about the Yamahas that I liked, is that just like when you hit, and same with Ludwig. I'm not gonna, I gotta say, like, when you hit and you're just like, it sounds like you want it to sound.
Mhm.
It's like, oh yeah, this is like, man, that's it. Just, it helps you play better, and I think that's just, I think if you're enjoying it more, you're playing. I do believe you're playing better, and
Yeah.
um, also the caveat that on any of these gear things, you know, you could say like the joke, like, guitar player be like, it's in the fingers, like, but it actually is.
It actually
Total,
is.
it actually 100% is,
Yeah.
like, and the same with, like, whether it's your sticks or whatever, but like, it is in the player. And so, like, that there is that, it is kind of true that almost no matter what kit you're playing, to an extent, you're going to sound like yourself, because of,
Yeah.
you're going to make micro adjustments to play and make it sound like you.
Well, case in point, if we look at recently, like Chad Smith played Pearl forever. Now he's playing on DW. Does he sound different? No, he still sounds like Chad Smith.
Yeah.
Like when he sits behind whatever kit, he's going to sound like Chad Smith. It's just because of the way he hits his rim shots. It's the way his vocabulary. It's the way he approaches, just the way he hits his toms. Like he rim shots on his floor tom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just, yeah, it's definitely.
Do you rim shot on the
And
floor tom? I like a rim shot on the floor tom.
oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, whenever I can. It depends on the situation, but yeah, for sure. Yeah.
There was this video, like a short little clip, like Instagram, like, whatever their reels are or whatever. I can't remember the musician who was saying it, but basically, like, the idea was that you sound exactly like you hear in your head. And if you're trying to play something, and you can't play it, you're not quite getting it, it's because you don't really hear that in your head. So that's just kind of like what we're talking about. And he talked about like his oral, as an AURAL, oral, like clarity and kind of your skill, and or just capacity, oral capacity. So like what
Yeah.
you hear, and being able to like clearly, like, this is totally what I hear. So
Mhm.
like when you go to play the drums, like, I think that's just kind of what we're talking about right now, like
Yeah.
how you end up sounding like yourself. And I think as you, because it's a bit of a side chat, but like as you improve on something or try to do something different, if you really are clear on what you're hearing, I think you can get there a lot quicker than if you're kind of like, I don't like, I don't really like, you kind of just have a cloudy idea of like, I'm pretty sure I want it like something like this. But the more you're like, no, like, I want it to be like this, you
Mhm.
can really hear it. I think that's
Yeah.
a skill you build. But anyway,
Absolutely. And you have to
side
like,
chat.
and that's why, like, practicing rudiments and chops and all that stuff is it's not so much for me whenever I practice anything like that, it's not to like be showy, it's to be able to have the facility in doing what's in my head and having it come through when I'm playing on the kit. And I think that's the whole journey that we're all on when we're trying to express ourselves, is being able to take what we have in our head and physically be able to manifest it, which is, why we, and that's true for any instrument, like guitar players when they're trying to solo, if they don't have the finger speed to play
Yeah.
that super cool lick, well, it's
So, yeah.
that's
That's why
why
they're,
the
That's why they're noodling all the time.
That's right. Yeah. Or putting those effects on their guitars to make it sound cooler. But actually that effects, that just reminded me. So when we're talking about drum kits, and now with technology where it's at, where you can have triggers, is it, I guess, if you want like an old school drum sound, like a natural drum sound, you want to pay the money to have that drum kit. But if you bought like a piece of crap drum kit and invested a bunch of money in triggers, then does the drum head or any of that stuff matter anymore? Because it's all coming through the
I
trigger.
don't know.
I
I don't really play with triggers that often, but I guess it would that. Then it's got to be quality. We're still talking gear, and
But we're
gear
still
quality.
talking, yeah.
We're talking trigger quality.
Electronics are going to cost more.
Yeah, and like the quality that trigger picks up, and I don't know how sensitive they are, if they would like detect like, oh, this head vibrates really well, or it's just like, oh, this is a ratty old drum head, it's not really vibrating. So like, besides that initial hit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe if it detects the decay, I don't know how. I'm sure the triggers are pretty advanced now, but I don't know.
But as far as like, because I know like with electronic drum kits, you can set it to like sound like, a rock kit at Massey Hall, and then when you hit that floor tom of that kick, it just like boom, like,
Yeah.
So they would translate that into whatever. I don't know if like I don't have an EAD. What was it, EAD 1000? What's it called?
I got one of those EAD 10s, I think.
Yeah, that's like my next. Well, my next piece of gear I want to get is a new snare drum, but
Nice.
an EAD 10 would definitely be on that list for sure.
Nice.
Yeah. So anyway, so drums, you can kind of, it's I guess it's a balancing act of quality, with drum heads and depending on the situation you're using it for.
Yeah.
But
yep, definitely. But so yes, I think it kind of matters
when we're talking drums specifically.
Yeah, the drums, they I guess, what do we end up on? They matter, but
They matter
to its context.
But in addition, if we're going to add some lemon to this conversation, snare drums are kind of a different subject altogether. Because for me, the snare sound is kind of where you identify certain players. Like, that's why there's like not many drummers have signature drums, but there's a bunch of them that have signature snare drums because that's their voice, right?
Yeah.
So to me, like I have a semi-pro drum kit, but the snare drum that came with it, that's gone. Like, I have a mid-level snare drum, which is why I want to get a new one. Looking at like an aluminum recording custom,
nice,
something like that. But I mean, the snare drum itself is almost as much as the full drum kit.
Yeah.
So you got to really look at how much you're wanting to spend on a snare drum versus the rest of your drum kit.
I would agree. Snares, that's a pretty special case. Indeed. Also can be affected for sure with like, you can doctor it up with heads and taping and
snare wires.
Snare wire, yeah, for sure.
I'm rocking a 40.
What's that?
I've got 40 strand on my.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, there's definitely like, of course, the way you tune these things, but yes, they do matter, and snares matter for sure. That's like that's the big one.
That's your bread and butter. I mean, that's home base, right?
Yeah. Who do you think, whose drum sounds do you like, that like drums, like not the snare, well, like the snare included, but like very iconic? I'm thinking like, like Alex Van Halen is pretty awesome drum sounds.
It's pretty signature sound. You can hear
signature sound. Yeah.
It's him as soon as you hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That combination of his what are they? The giant beat hats and the Superphonic Ludwig
But
snare.
like even his toms and stuff, like the
Oh, yeah.
the drums. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's definitely one that you know who it is right away. Stuart Copeland.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Levon, we mentioned the other day. That's
yeah.
very iconic, like the drum sounds.
Mhm.
Because he barely hits. Yeah.
Phil Collins.
Oh, yeah. 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 Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I mean, drum sounds as far as like recent drums that I've and consistently, and I've already mentioned this guy, but Joey Castillo's drum sounds on the Zach Sabbath album, the Bronx Six album, and the new Blood Clot album.
Mm.
Like those drum sounds on those three albums. Like I don't know if he did those sessions all on the same day because the consistency he has with his drum sound is just insane. Like you know it's him right away. Like I don't know.
He's a monster.
And he's a Tama guy. So maybe it's to do with Japanese drums. I don't know.
Maybe. Anyway,
Yeah, we can
go
get
on.
into a whole side thing.
Yeah,
well, since we're talking about drummers, we might as well drop a drummer.
Questlove too. Questlove, huge. Like you know
Oh,
who
yeah.
that is. I was just
Yeah.
thinking, like very signature
Daru
sounds.
Jones is another one.
Yeah, very signature sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is such a cool setup, man.
Daru?
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know how he does it. It's cool though.
Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah. All right,
Should
so
we
let's
drop-
talk
yeah.
about Moonlighters or
Yeah,
lesser
man.
known drummers that
Well,
are kick-ass drummers.
You told me who one of your guys is, and I think that last Daru we just mentioned, I think that would set up one of yours very nicely.
That would set up one of mine very nicely. I had a different segue for my guy, but we'll go into this guy. So yeah, so Daru Jones plays for Jack White. Jack White, from the White Stripes, from his solo career, from the Raconteurs, so many solo, like different collaborations that he's done, singer, guitar player, but he's a kick-ass drummer for the Dead Weather. And his drum, speaking of drum setups that are cool, if you ever seen his drum setup, he's got like a bunch of Ludwigs, he's got like a 26-inch kick drum, and then he's got a 16-inch snare drum that was made from a floor tom that they sliced in half, turned that into a snare, and then the other half of the floor tom, he has it as his first tom. So he's got a 16 snare and then a 16 tom that's the same width as the snare, so it's very shallow. So it's almost like a snare that doesn't have the wires on.
Wow, cool.
And then
he's got creative.
And then he's got 3 floor toms. He's got 2 16s side by side, and then he's got a 14 that makes into like a triangular. And he's got the 2 16s tuned differently. Like this guy's a nerd. And then he's got an auxiliary snare, which is a 14.
Cool.
Tuned real low. And everything is like super low and completely flat.
Makes me want to try harder. Makes me want to do more things.
Right. Like it's just yeah.
It's very cool, man.
Yeah. And then as far as the cymbals go, he's got a 26-inch ride with rivets. Yeah, 26-inch ride. And then he's got like an 8-inch or a 10-inch splash, and then a 16-inch crash. Like he doesn't have a lot of cymbals, and they're weird sizes that go with each other. But anyway, I know all this because I recently watched him go through his whole kit. But the kit aside, the creativity and his vocabulary on the drum kit, like it's kind of old school jazzy, but super energetic and very, very tasteful. And as a songwriter, he's very, like a songwriter would, piece together parts. So if you haven't listened to Jack White play drums, you really should check out The Dead Weather because it's a phenomenal album.
Yeah, they have a couple albums, I think. That first one, the first track off I forget the name of the album, but the first track off that first album is baby
catchy.
Yeah.
So who's your first pick?
Oh man, you probably, I don't know if you've heard of this guy. It's Paul McCartney was the first one. He was played in the Beatles and played bass a lot, little piano as well.
Yeah, okay.
But I mean, there was the joke that like I think it was in like the documentary where like Ringo, what's it's like to be the best drummer in the world? It's like, oh, he's the best drummer in the world. He's not the best drummer in the Beatles. So I don't know if whether or not that's true, but it's a zinger.
That's a good one.
It's a good one. That's a good one. Anyway, so were they talking about Paul McCartney? I think Paul might have made that joke, or I don't know if it was
Probably.
John or Paul made that joke. Who knows? But yeah, like Dear Prudence, back in the USSR, that's Paul McCartney on the drums.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was a lot of people be like, duh, but some people might not know. Some people might not know. So there you know. Now you know.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of cool setup he was using. Probably just a regular old.
He was just using Ringo's kit.
Whatever it was, yeah, whatever was there. So
he was like, "Oh, hey Ringo, let me just give this a little try here."
And then just
kind of
just
knocks
killed
it
it.
out.
Yeah, totally. Super.
And Ringo's probably all like, "Cool, man." That's
pretty talented. Well, I was reading. I think the reason he was on those, at least, on those tracks, at least back in the USSR. I'm not like super. I don't know every detail of the Beatles. But so I don't even know if those are on the same album. But I guess Ringo was like momentarily not a member, like he had quit for a minute or something, and so that was like what was going on there.
That's probably true. I know, like George quit twice in that documentary. Like, so
right.
Who knows? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, and that's the thing that I appreciate about that documentary. That people put the Beatles on a pedestal, and rightfully so. But there were 4 guys from Liverpool that were playing in a band, and they were bandmates for however long. Worked super hard, put out so many albums in such a short amount of time. So yeah, there's going to be interpersonal turmoil and conflicts, and I quit and screw you, and then I'm sorry and come back or whatever. Like anybody that's in a band knows that the interpersonal dynamics of a band it's a wave, it's a marriage. Like these are people that you spend so much time with, sometimes for certain periods of time, more time than you do with your actual family. So yeah, like for sure Ringo probably quit hundreds of times.
Yeah.
But
So
no one more so than George, because poor George.
Yeah, I love George. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to feel sorry for the guy, because as good as he is or was, as a great songwriter as he was in a band with John and Paul.
Yeah, I don't feel that sorry for him though. Come on, he was in a band with John and Paul.
Well, yeah, but I mean, those guys are the songwriters.
Yeah,
and then anytime he writes a song, it's like, yeah, we might fit it on there,
Yeah, no, true, very true.
I think he had a contract that he was 1 song per album.
Oh, I didn't know
that. They had to put one of his songs on each album.
It's a fair deal,
but no more. Yeah. All right. So 1 drummer down.
Cool.
One gear down.
Let's talk cymbals.
Let's talk some cymbals. So yeah, we did a whole episode on cymbals. But for me, unlike drums, cymbals, you kind of get what you pay for. Like as somebody that's learning to play the drums, and like say I'm just starting out and I'm not sure on my investment, I'm not going to spend $700 on a set of hi-hats. You know what I mean? Like you'd get the B8s or the lower press cymbals or whatever you want to call them, the cast cymbals, until you kind of get your feet going. And then, but once you're serious about the instrument and playing, and you want to play, in front of people or record or whatever, I think you definitely have to like spend some money on quality cymbals.
Yeah,
it's one of those things you can't skimp on.
No, I agree. Topic over. Buy good cymbals. I mean, that's you get into subjective, but yes, pretty much. I mean, yeah, sure. And there's going to be exceptions to the rule where, like, someone's playing like a cracked cymbal and that's their sound or whatever. But yeah, I think
stacks or whatever.
or stacks.
Yeah.
I think those are pretty cool. But the yeah, it's all context for cymbals. But yes, for in general, like yeah, the budget cymbals just do not sound good. But
No.
you can still like a way you play a cymbal, you can do a lot. You know, people used to always tell me I hit cymbals too hard in the beginning, and I, like, come on, shut up. But they were right. They were right. And I think that there is something to be said about, like, you can play a cymbal just hard enough, and you can play it too hard too. Just it sounds better at a certain velocity, I think. But I agree with you, man. There are some things that just some cymbals are just never going to sound good.
No matter what you do. I mean, they're like trash cans. Some of them,
It's not pleasing sound.
like when you buy a drum set that has cymbals included, kind of like your Imperial Stars.
Yeah.
They're
How did you know? How did you know?
but those
They
are
weren't good. Cymbals
no,
weren't good.
no.
No.
I don't even know what those are made out of. I don't know if it's like
B8
it
is
B8?
like is a kind of
I
metal,
think there's
right?
something less than that because
Is
like
there?
I had a drum kit. I had a PV drum kit that came
Oh
with
yeah,
cymbals.
PV cymbals. I know what you're saying.
PV cymbals. Like, what is that?
I don't know. I don't
It's
know.
like they literally took a trash can and painted it the color of a cymbal.
Yeah.
Sorry, PV. I mean, I'm just, it is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. You're gonna peeve off PV. Ba-boom!
Boom. Bow, 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 bow. Um,
We need some of those sound
we need
effects,
some
man.
sound effects, man. But yeah, we got all nerdy with Randy on cymbals and the shapes and the bows and
Yeah.
the weights and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
We never
And
got into B8s though. We never got into
no,
PV cymbals. That was a miss.
that was a miss.
Randy,
Maybe we
what are
should
your
bring the
worst symbols out there? Let's get into that.
hmm,
People want to know. No, you're
well
right.
for me it'd be PV. Yeah.
Yeah. No, fair.
Um, but again, and to for there are so many different types of cymbals, and that's to do with the manufacturing process, like the machine lathed and shaped, and then there's the hand hammered shaped, semi lathe, unlathed. Like there's those dirty looking cymbals that some companies are making now for those real dry sound. Like
Yeah. I've got a
like
couple of those, or had a
yeah.
couple of them. Yeah.
So there's so many different applications and there's a symbol for each application. So it's a matter of finding the one that's for your voice, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was lucky enough that, I have Randy that helped me, pick out symbols for my specific, project or whatever for
Yeah.
my sound. But that's always evolving too, right? Because then you hear something else and you're like, oh, that's inspiring. So then you kind of want to chase after that. And to your point earlier with, for any of and we'll bring this up again later. But just for anything that you're using, as long as it's inspiring you and it's the sounds that you want to create, then that's when it matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, I play Sabian. You're a Peisty guy.
Yeah.
And you've got like the big 24-inch ride.
24-inch ride, 20-inch crash. Giant beats, 14-inch hats. Yeah.
And you ride on your crash and you crash on your ride. Like,
yeah. For sure. Crash on the ride all the time.
yeah.
Like I basically have, that's what I like about those cymbals, is that I can do that, because there's sometimes, like you go to a festival and you have to play the back line. I don't know the equivalent for this for like a guitar player or something, but because at least they always usually have their guitars. But for a drummer, sometimes you're showing up and you're getting like, all you have is your sticks. For me, it's like sticks and cowbell. Here you go. Like you got a trusty cowbell and my sticks, but like, like played like, they're Peisty cymbals and they're fine, but they're not giant beats. It's like, it's way different. And like you go to crash that thing and it sounds like, like it's just not meant to be crashed. It's meant to be very pingy.
like a set of rudes.
It was a set of rudes.
Okay.
It was a set of rudes, and it was
Those are
like,
thick and heavy.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
No,
those are
there's,
designed for a purpose.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
They're on a live record though, because I don't know, just like that detail was missed or something. I was early on in my days in the band, and I still hear that record. I'm like, oh, you can hear because it's like so muscle memory, and I'm like going to like,
Right.
here we go, bang, bong, yoing, yoing, yoing. Like it just sucks. But maybe you don't hear it, maybe, but if you want to, you can go. I'm not gonna tell you which one, but if you really want to know, go searching.
It's a live record and it's
So
available anywhere you stream music.
it's one of the spots you stream music.
It's
Might
not
be,
everywhere.
it might be an exclusive. So I've just given some more hints.
Okay.
Anyway,
I feel like I'm
moving on.
playing. I feel like I'm playing Guess Who, and I keep
It's like
eliminating
20
little
questions.
pieces. Yeah. Yeah. All right, second drummer, you go first. Let's
Okay.
go.
Mine are all like probably drummers that, this isn't a cool intro, like where you're like, you have this really cool intro set up for yours. Mine is like, just going to explain like, hey, everybody knows who these people are. And everyone probably knows that they were drummers too.
Who cares?
But you know what?
It's
Off air, Dre and I checked in. He had a couple of my picks. So I've pivoted, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him. I know he did offer. Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder is such an amazing drummer.
I had no idea he played.
For real?
For real.
The hit song Superstition?
That's him?
Stevie Wonder.
Son of
You
a
Are the
bitch.
Sunshine of My Life. That's Stevie Wonder.
So I
like
never looked at the credits.
Yeah, the so groovy and so amazing. Like, yes, that's Stevie Wonder. So
see, I'm glad you pivoted.
Oh, amazing. Well, there you go. So Stevie Wonder's my pick. I mean, he could do it all.
Damn.
What a musician.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Yeah.
Stevie Wonder is
it's just like a joy. What a joy.
One of the goats.
He's a joy. Yeah,
he
is. All right, you.
Okay, so this ties into the drum category that we were talking about, and my favorite drums being the Yoke Customs. Is so this guy, I guess, I mean, he's been endorsed by Yamaha drums for a while, but he's not known as the drummer in his band. That's Godsmack's Sully Erna. Him and Shannon Larkin, if you've never seen their drum duo battle or whatever you want to call it, mid-show, Shannon's drum kit gets shoved over, and then there's another one that comes out with Sully on it, and then they start doing this call response thing. It's just the coolest thing. But yeah, so Sully's just a kick-ass drummer. Yeah, I mean, what else can you say? It's really cool to watch them as a band, and I'm not a big Godsmack fan. Like, I don't listen to them. I don't like seek them out. But whenever I do hear them, the drum parts are always really cool. And I'm guessing because Sully, being the songwriter, would be having certain drum things in his head, and working with two drummers being in the band, you'd come up with some cool shit, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely that's something we mentioned Dave Grohl, whoever the drummer is in the Foo Fighters moving forward, he's got some shoes to fill, because his relationship with Taylor and the way they would work out songs, the two of them before anybody else came in, they were having conversations about, this drum part or that fill or whatever. So anyhow, yeah. So Sully from Godsmack is my second pick.
Nice.
Yeah. And they're
solid.
They're a solid band. And from what I just saw recently, he came out and said that they're not going to be writing or recording any new material. They're just going to make a new show with all the known songs.
Okay.
And put their energy into a live show versus creating new material. Just as you know, writing and recording is a whole process.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's the most fun process.
That's the best part.
Yeah. But
I mean, playing shows
to each their own.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe they've, there's there you go.
Make money on tour. You don't sell them, you don't make money on records.
Yeah, I guess that's actually true. You're spending money to record, and
Mhm.
you go make money when you play.
Mhm.
And if you have to put your creative energy into a new show,
Mhm.
that's way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So
Hardware.
part 3, hardware.
Part 3.
Yeah.
Still with us?
Yeah. Yeah. Still, this is
Everybody? No, they're
getting
still
chatty.
they're still here.
Yeah. So for me, I could play on a piece of crap drum kit with some tin can cymbals. As long as the hardware is where it's at,
I'm a hardware
I'm
guy.
good. I'm a hardware guy. I need to know that they're going to stay where they're at.
Yeah, I want these shitty cymbals to stay exactly where they are.
Yeah. But I mean, particularly kick pedal, hi-hat, like where you're,
Okay, yeah. Those are very important. Very
because
important.
you can weight down a cymbal stand with whatever, a free weight or a sandbag or whatever. You can make it so it's not going to go anywhere.
Mhm.
And if the cymbals are crap, then who cares? Because you're keyhole them anyway. But I mean, is kick pedal and hi-hat stand, I don't typically bring my hi-hat stand, but I always bring my kick pedal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had a couple of nightmare moments with kick pedals. So it's good to have a nice one, because when that beater comes off or the thing blows up, it sucks. It sucks.
Or it comes off the hoop.
Or it comes off the hoop. Oh, brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
That's
I just
why I
saw this.
really like my new pedal. But
What do you got? The
I got the
F9?
FP9. Yeah.
F9.
It's got the
Foot
spikes.
pedal 9.
Yeah. Hey, I had no idea that's what it was called.
Hmm.
I thought it was something to do with the motorcycle. Anyway, because it looks like one. But no, they put the spikes by the heel of your foot so it doesn't pivot because it's attached at the hoop, right? So you don't need the spikes at the front. You put them in the back and it stops it from fishtailing.
Nice.
That thing does not move.
Cool.
Yeah.
I haven't tried one yet. I want to try one.
Yeah, you really should.
Yeah. I really should. Yeah.
But I mean, I had a DW5000 for like ever. Like I'm talking like single chain from
those
like
are really good.
1991 or 1990, and I
Those
had it up
roll.
until last year. So
Those roll.
yeah,
Those are so good.
Mhm.
I just play a regular old like on the road, the I don't even know the model number, but the regular Yamaha pedal, whatever the
It'd be
regular
9,000.
the 9,000.
That's the
Yeah.
higher end one, yeah.
Yeah. So I play one of those and love it. I also, have played Speed Cobra, play Iron Cobra, definitely the 5000 DW 5000. That was my favorite of all the DW pedals, was the 5000. Not like
Yeah, I tried
going
the
up to the
9,000
9
and
yeah.
yeah, it's too weird.
But I do like the Speed Cobra more than I like the Iron Cobra. But maybe that's just me. But
If
yeah,
that's the case, then you definitely need to get an FP9
yeah.
because it is longer footboard. It reminds me of the Speed Cobra
Oh,
in that
cool.
sense.
Nice.
And the cam is adjustable, so you can make it the same cam as the Speed Cobra.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
And I do like the I mean, all of Yamaha's hardware. It's kind of undeniable. It's the best. And yeah. I mean, the story, if you don't know it, like Yamaha makes they have a bit of an advantage. They do make motorcycles, they make all sorts of things. They got access to the best metals and the best metal making techniques and secrets. And so they do have it's just it's sturdy. And I mean, the hi-hats are amazing too. Like, that's one thing that can really mess you up. And I was thinking about this as I was practicing the other day with my nice Yamaha hi-hat stand, that for a lot of years I would like kind of ignore how crappy my hi-hat stand was, or like, maybe the rod would get bent or something like that. And especially when working like on anything more like, I wouldn't even say it's technical, but just like precise. Like if it's just like to be the rock guy and just like, bash on it, that's not a huge deal. But anytime I have to close it, like in a jazz setting, or like I'm working like through like new breed stuff or something that where like I want to actually close it and have it close exactly and have a nice tight,
Yeah. Anything where you're
consistently.
using the left
Yeah,
foot there.
I think I probably wasted hundreds of hours trying to like perfect a hi-hat technique that was probably like just never going to happen on like
It wasn't your fault though.
it was a bit of like a thing on a dumb pedal. That's just like, oh, that's not consistent because the thing's moving around and like,
Yeah.
I don't know. So, that's, I don't know, take that as what a grain of salt, but like,
Yeah.
I think that, yeah, hi-hat, they do matter. They do matter. And a great drum throne, a nice
Oh, yeah.
sturdy, drum throne. Um, you don't have to go super bouncy. I know there's lots of options out there. It's like
I'm
the
not a
classic.
hydraulic fan.
No, I just like a classic round, uh, round seat.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I've got a
sturdy.
saddle seat. I'm
Saddles
kind
are
of,
good too.
I'm not feeling it. I want to get a round seat. That's another thing. Yeah, I'm looking for a new snare and a new drum throne.
Yeah,
But yeah, the classic round seat, non-hydraulic. Like I don't care if I got to spin it, 12 or 14 times or whatever to get the right height.
yeah.
I'd rather do that than have the airlift
Yeah,
because
you
I
don't want
just
to like hit that thing by accident. It's
right. And then okay, where was it? Then you kind of up, down, up. You're
like, yeah,
playing
oh,
with that forever. At least I know
brutal,
if I can spin it, I know how many times. Um,
brutal.
but also like if you lean in, then the hydraulic pushes you up, and then you're bouncing, and it's just
Yeah, you don't want to be bouncing.
no. I'm I was there was a backline kit at a benefit show that I played at, and it had the hydraulic. It was a nice, it was a nice DW kit. It was like a collector series or whatever, and it had a hydraulic drum throne, and I'd never sat on one. I'd never used one before.
Mm,
Threw me way off. I was just like,
yeah.
what? Because anytime I went to move, it was pushing me up, and I was just,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. I don't know. Some thrones feel like, what do you think I'm doing here? Like, I'm not like working at the office. Like, like I don't need a swivel over here to like write an email. I don't need to lay back and think about my, what
Yeah,
are
with the
my
back.
reports? What's it, like, I don't know. I'm sitting at the
Uh,
front. I'm sitting at the front, and I got something to do. I don't need all these things, but
yeah,
some people would swear by them, I guess.
yeah.
What do you think about those like rumble seats? Like, I don't even know the name. I have a buddy here has one.
Oh, the Porter and Davies.
Yes,
Yeah.
vibrating.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've never see.
he swears by it. He swears by it. Eli.
Does he use in ears?
Uh, I think probably.
That's probably why. Because if you're
I
using
do
in
too.
ears,
I do too. And
okay,
I've heard, yeah, maybe it would be good.
yeah, because when you've got a wedge, you can feel like your kick and whatever. So when you don't have that wedge on the side stage, that's creating that whatever, and you're just using your in ears, you're not feeling the kick. You're not feeling the kit the same
Mm,
way. That's what
yeah.
those are for. And it's like a vibration. It's not,
Yeah.
so anytime you hit the kick, it just kind of sends a vibration through the
That
throne.
might be cool. I don't
Um,
like a lot of vibration. Like, maybe I would like that if I'm sure you can adjust it.
oh
But if
yeah,
I want
yeah.
to play in live, I want it to be like as close to like acoustic as possible, which is like kind of tricky sometimes on it's actually not that bad on outside stages sometimes, but like
Mhm.
inside sometimes but sometimes I get freaked out by like I like hit the bass drum. It's
Yeah.
like maybe I should
Yeah.
be into that being
Yeah.
hard rock, but it's like no, I didn't like hit the drum that hard. Whoa.
Yeah.
Like every little hit is like like it
Yeah, I
freaks
think
like
you
that.
need to
I
have that adjusted.
feel like I forget how to play. Like
Yeah.
so it's just and then
It's
I just play shitty. I just like okay, I guess I'm just wailing. Like there's gonna be zero nuance tonight because
yeah, that's the other
it
thing,
doesn't
because then
matter.
there's no feel, right?
Yeah,
You're not
yeah,
your double strokes or whatever, you're not going to have that nice boom. Instead, it's just going to be bang bang.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean that's the thing with triggers that sometimes you're
Yeah.
going for
Everything.
that.
Yeah.
You're going for that. Everything sound like everything is exactly that. and some big arena bands will want to do that because it's really important that those, we have those solid
Everything,
hits.
everything has to project.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So hardware, I think it matters.
Absolutely. And that's one of
Not
the reasons why
sonically,
I've stuck
but,
with Yamaha
yeah.
this whole time, is because even the more budget hardware, I've known so many people that have Yamaha stands and hardware, like the 7000 series, which is like their lightweight.
Yeah,
They
I got
can't
that.
kill them. They've had them for like decades and they're
Same.
still same,
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
like it because it doesn't weigh too much.
I see it doesn't weigh too much, but the lightweight, like the flat bass stuff, that's like super duper light. And I
Flat. Oh
know
no.
Yamaha have the Crosstowns, which are lightweight, made out of aluminum.
Okay, I don't
I've
like
never
those things.
I've never played them. I think they look kind of cool, but I like the look of the flat bass.
I mean, just like single brace, I guess what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Not anything that goes flat or like the super lightweight stuff. I get
Mhm.
very cool concept. I just haven't, because I haven't really used it that much. But like
Mhm.
I'm just like I don't know.
I have a flat bass stand that I use my ride on,
Yeah.
just so I can get it right flush to the kick drum. I
And
don't like having my cymbals on booms. I like having them all on
same.
straight stands.
That's something sonically. I was gonna say, like, it doesn't really have hardware doesn't have that much of a sonic implication, but I've already kind of contradicted myself because I said that a properly functioning hi-hat will absolutely help you. And of course the beater on the bass drum pedal will help
Mm-hmm.
make a difference. But also there's the argument for cymbals, like whether if they're on a boom stand, if they're, and some drummers would be like they want their cymbals straight because I believe they resonate most purely. They do their thing if they're straight, and they lose some of that when they're on an angle,
Mm-hmm.
or the sound changes. So yeah, I mean, I take it back. It does matter. But again, I think it's a matter of degree and the setting that you're in.
Yeah.
And if you are in a beautiful theater,
Mm-hmm.
yes, you actually do want those best sounding drums and everything dialed right in. But you can hide a little bit behind a wall of sound in
straight cymbal stands. Cymbals are flat. My ride, my ride's kind of high, so I generally angle it just slightly, but it's pretty flat. Yeah, and hi-hats, like I have mine right now, like the top hi-hat where the clutch is like literally flush with the rod. That's how I have my hi-hat. Like I know, like you can get like low and you got the big rod sticking out of it. The rod sticking right out of it, and I like mine fairly high, but I sit higher now than I used to, so it doesn't look as high. It's not like Dave Grohl back in Nirvana, like playing um, but the hi-hat, like, I mean, maybe it's just the Yamaha stands that I have. They don't go that high. I think you have to buy a specific hi-hat stand that
maybe
will go that high.
Right.
I think he had it specially made. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I know there's a few drummers that have their stuff pretty high. Like
so it's the lower thing that doesn't go high. Like the rod, you can buy different length rods.
Yeah.
But you're talking about the actual like tube doesn't go that high.
Yeah, it doesn't go that high. I mean, I have the standard tube that comes with it and the standard rod. So whatever height that is, that's where I have it as the highest on that setting.
Gotcha.
Which is about lower than shoulder level, I guess, from where I'm sitting. But
nice.
So I guess this should be a different topic altogether. Is ergonomics and stuff like that. We should get into that another time. Just with positioning.
So hot right now.
It is
so hot right now.
It is
with good reason.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a third drummer we have to get to.
Yeah, we do. Let's do it. You go.
Okay, I'm last and I forget who it is. No, I remember now. Okay. This was one of our collective choices. He's known as the singer-songwriter for Them Crooked Vultures, Queens of the Stone Age, Desert Sessions. I guess he writes for Eagles of Death Metal as well, but he also plays drums for them, and that's Joshua Home, or Hame. I don't know how you say it. We'll call him Josh. uh,
I think that's how you say it.
I think that's
Josh.
Josh. Just joshing you. Haven't heard that in a
Gee,
while.
nah, that was good.
Just joshing you. But his drums on Eagles of Death Metal, he's got some interesting choices and some different percussive additions, like the jam block and the
Yeah.
tambourine. And I think it's like one crash and one China cymbal.
It's really fun.
It's
Fun drumming.
and it's
Yeah.
a three-piece kit. Yeah, I know like most of, I mean, the guy that plays with them now, Jorma, he's got a full drum kit or whatever. But back in the early Eagles days, it was a three-piece kit. Yeah, but Joshua, just his vocabulary behind the kit is very similar to Jack White, like coming from a songwriter's perspective, where they're coming up with like riffs and fills that don't start where you think they will, or they have a different resolution than you think they're going to have.
Yeah.
I think this is really cool. And yeah, he's just a cool drummer.
Yeah. Yeah. There's like some like thing when it's not your, maybe it's not your first instrument, or your head lives in this other space a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, sometimes I'm like, oh man, I wish I could come. I wish my brain could even could even think of that, because it just wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Just wouldn't think of that, because I got all this other stuff,
I'm too busy focused on like
I'm just busy focused on just making it perfect and rock solid.
Am I on grid?
Yeah. Mine is Prince. Prince played a lot of pretty much all the instruments, I guess, on all of his records, including the drums. So on the topic of musicians that are just like unbelievable at everything they touched, he'd probably take the cake. And so
what's crazy about Prince, and I've had this conversation recently at my employment, is that as good as Prince is, and like you see him, with all his hit songs and all that stuff, you forget how good he was at playing the guitar.
Oh yeah, man.
And I mean, and to your point, like the drums and stuff, like he recorded all that stuff, but like I think it was like that benefit for George Harrison. You can see it on YouTube where it's like this whole band. George's son is there, and I think Tom Petty, and they're playing While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
Yeah.
And Prince isn't even on stage, and then the guitar solo comes up, and he comes strutting out from the back, rips the solo, melts everybody's faces, and then just takes his guitar and throws it and walks off the stage.
Yeah,
just like
throws it up in the air, and it like you never see it come down.
Never see it again.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, he is just obviously just
insane talent.
It's so incredible. Yeah. And bonus, gonna say Danko Jones. Before the band Danko Jones was a drummer in a band. I think they're called the Violent Brothers. And
so he played. I thought he guitared that. He was the drummer.
He was the drummer.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you go. I can't remember if I'm just making this up. Was it Dapper Dan that he was calling himself at that point? I don't know. I should have researched this. It's like I've heard the story before, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
But I've seen like a short clip, and pretty entertaining. It's like oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. It's like
there's that kind of roots.
Yeah, it's kind of hilarious, and yeah. Anyway, sweet. There you go.
Cool. 3 drummers.
Yeah.
Done. Mic drop.
Dinner done.
Dinner done. Cool. So I guess we'll just terminate the episode here. No segue needed.
No.
So yeah, again, if you like the podcast, click like, subscribe, do all that YouTube shenanigan stuff. Follow us, or follow Los Cabos Drumsticks.
Write us an email.
Write us an email. lcdquarternotes@gmail.com. And
not that hard. LCD quarter notes
at gmail.com. Yeah. And Dre
You ever
_
check it?
SGS all the
You ever?
time.
Okay. I
Yeah.
I was just about to say like no one writes, and
No.
then I thought like I've never checked it.
They're just being shy or polite. They don't want to, I don't know. Um, yeah. No, but I mean, communicating with Ryan a bit, and everything's good. So,
Nice.
um,
I had someone have the nerve ask me today if we ever get to eighth notes, being a quarter notes podcast. My buddy Ian. So Ian, and he told me he's going to listen to them all. So this is the true test. He's going to have made it to the very end of this episode.
yeah.
Ian, if you're listening, no, we don't. And I'll tell everyone what I told him. It's not the friggin' Mike Mangini podcast. We don't get it. We stick to quarter notes.
We stick to the quarter notes, and sometimes we hit the ands,
That's right.
which would be the eighth notes.
I think we got to go out on that note.
I think so. All right. Rich Knox Drums on Instagram.
Yeah.
Los Cabos Drumsticks, all that stuff. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one.
See you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.